These days we have too much choice when it comes to camera lenses. From native camera brands lenses to third-party options that are often cheaper and offer something different. That can be extremely exciting if you're a seasoned photographer, but also quite overwhelming if you have just started your photography journey. In this video, I want to help you, so I'll be sharing my experience with Fuji's cheapest lens and with the TTArtisan 35mm. But before we get into it, I just want to say that I'm not a technical photographer and I don't want to be. My thoughts of these lenses are purely based on the results I got and how the photos I took with them make me feel. I like to think that I'm a practical person in general, but also when it comes to choosing gear. I want something that's versatile so that I can use in different ways. I want something that's compact that I can take with me anywhere, and most importantly, something that's reliable so that I know I don't have to change every year. I don't like spending my money on things, I rather spending them in experiences. So if I'm investing in a new piece of gear, I need to know that's gonna last me a long time. For this reason, I'm mainly a zoom lens type of person, because they're versatile and the build, especially of the 16-55mm for Fuji, it's incredible and it's lasted me years. But I'm trying to let go of that codependent relationship with a zoom lens, and I've rediscovered prime lenses, and I think there is so many benefits to them and they can make you a better photographer. They really help bring consistency to your photography style and force you to think outside the box where you're limited in choices. And 35mm is a great focal length to have in your kit. You can do so much with it, from portraits to still life to interiors and even landscapes. For those who don't know, 35mm on crop sensor camera is actually the equivalent of 52mm on full-frame cameras, but the compression is still the same of a normal 35mm. Hope that makes sense. I got my first Fujifilm XC 35mm f2 when I got my first Fujifilm camera years ago. I actually first got the metal version. I ended up selling it to upgrade my camera, and then I got this plastic one instead. This is not weather sealed, and that's why it's so light and extremely cheap. I believe you can find it for under $200. This lens is great for travel, and that's what I bring with me when I'm traveling and I don't want to bring my bulky zoom lens. It feels great on my Fujifilm XC4, it's such a small compact kit, and I believe it could feel even better on a smaller camera like an M5 or XT30, XT20. There is no aperture ring, which I personally don't mind, but I know that some of you might, but that's what you get for the low price. I actually love the images from this lens. The colors are vibrant and the images are extremely sharp. I've noticed some purple fringing when shooting in bright sunlight and some glare. It's something that's extremely easy to fix in post-production, but I thought you should be aware of it, especially if you're gonna shoot in very sunny places. You also don't get a lens hood when you buy this lens, and that's something that can help in these situations. And speaking of image quality, you can clearly see it here. The image on the right was taken with a TTArtisan 35mm lens. The colors aren't as vibrant, but whatever that's a flaw or not, depends on your personal experience and the type of look you like. For context, both images had the same edit, and they were edited with my presets that you can find in my description box. What I've noticed about the images from the TTArtisan lens is that the colors are more muted, there is less contrast and less depth. I have also noticed some vignetting happening in the images. I guess you could say this is a lens with character. I use it with the cool photography hood to prevent glare, and it actually works quite well. I didn't notice any funny business in my photos. The autofocus is decent and it gets the job done. If I had to compare it to the XC autofocus, I would say that's maybe slightly slower, but it's definitely quieter, and that's very important, especially if you're shooting video. In terms of build, I would say that the TTArtisan definitely feels more premium, be more expensive, because it's made of metal rather than plastic, and it's definitely bigger than the Fuji XC. It also lacks the aperture ring like the Fuji XC, and sometimes the aperture ring really helps complete the Fujifilm camera experience. But you can still go all the way to 1.8, so you can go wild with that bouquet. By this point, you can probably tell which lens I prefer. Obviously, the Fujifilm XC is still my top choice, but don't underestimate the TTArtisan, because I think it's still a valid option if you're on a budget. If I'm being honest, between me and you, I'm very surprised that TTArtisan decided to make a lens like this, knowing that the Fuji XC is on the market and can be found at very cheap prices. But I guess it's a nice option if you want something that's not plastic but metal and still an affordable price. With that being said, I would like to remind you that there is no such a thing as a perfect lens. And when we are on low budget, we have to compromise on things like weather sailing and aperture rigs. It's important to remember that a lens can make or break a camera, and even matter more than the camera body itself. And now that I've grown up, I come to the realization that if I have to choose between investing in a camera body or a lens, I should probably invest in the latter. And that's growth for you. However, it's still a personal choice, and it really depends on what you shoot, how you shoot, and what are the results you want to achieve. Instead of focusing on specs, I recommend you thinking about what inspires you to take photos and what kind of results you want to achieve. At the end of the day, photography is less about gear, but it can also be about gear, because trying new gear is fun. But I believe it's more about your vision, your unique point of view, and the stories you're trying to tell. Before saying goodbye, I wanted to remind you that I have a newsletter. You can find the link in my description box alongside my presets. And thank you so much for watching this video. And please leave a like and subscribe if you liked it. And I'll see you in the next one.